is, excuse me, I've been listening, not talking, so I start to talk. It's like, oh, it's called phlegm, could be called a frog in your throat. Got a frog in the throat, it's a throwback to the Irish ancestors. They gave us many wonderful idioms. So I definitely am part Irish, Fleming. Fleming. The Fleming has its way. The Fleming always seems to dominate, doesn't it? You got the German. Oh, you're German. You're Transylvanian Saxon, but the Fleming. The Fleming has the last word. The Fleming will not be quiet, right? Okay, I don't really think that I have ancestors living inside of me. I just think I have a genetic combination, which is not very unique. But, every human being is unique. And this is how I present myself to you as a human being. I'm not 20 years old, I wasn't born yesterday. I'm not 85. I'm a person. I'm a person. Obviously, I'm a lady. I have all the lady parts. I never wanted to be a man. I wear pants a lot. That doesn't mean I want to be a man. I'd like to wear skirts, but you know what? Can we talk? Okay. The last time I went looking for a skirt, they're so expensive. Like, pardon me, dresses and skirts, you wonder why women don't dress in a more feminine fashion. My mother had a sewing machine. My mother was good at everything. My mother was basically like Nancy Drew. If you've read the Nancy Drew series, if Nancy had to pose as a trapeze artist to catch a criminal, she could master the art of trapeze. My mother was such a wonderful typist. She had beautiful long fingernails. She could polish those fingernails. I mean, they were not fake. They were not Lee's press-on nails. They were beautiful. Like, how can a person be good at everything? How can she tan well? How can she be good at sports and math and English, better at spelling and English than I was? How can a person be that perfect? Of course, she'd say, no, I'm not perfect. But she really was a cut above. She truly. And I really hope to see her in heaven. Her life didn't, sometimes perfect people are not really wanted. Like, you're not the right sort of perfect person that we want. She had health issues toward the end of her life. Why would I blame her for those? Yeah, I mean, there were things that she did. She had a lifestyle where she did smoke, but she had given it up years ago, and then she ended up having issues with her lungs, even though she had given up the smoking. That's a miracle for me. I was smoking like a chimney, even though I knew it was wrong and it caused lung cancer and all that sort of thing. I grew up in an era where you could actually, they had cigarette machines out in the lobby, like the restaurant lobby. It was like I could put some coins in the machine. I'd get a pack of cigarettes out of there. Like, you pull the handle and the pack of cigarettes comes out, I'm not saying we need to go back to those days at all. I mean, my grandfather, my mom's dad, died of emphysema, basically. Couldn't give up that habit. How did I just give it up? I was in college. I was about 19 years old, and I said, although this is a habit, I just go in all the way. I dive in with both feet, or, maybe that's a mixed idiom. I'm sorry. I jump in with both feet. Of course, I can't just smoke a couple cigarettes a day. I'm smoking 2 packs a day, and I'm 19 years old. You just started. Are you an idiot? I tried cigarettes when I was like 15 or 16, but I really became a dedicated cigarette smoker at 19 years old. And I just woke up one morning and I thought, there's just cigarette butts all over my apartment. It's disgusting. I don't feel good. I don't feel healthy. I'm not really enjoying this habit. And I just quit it just like that. Wow. How did I just do that? Wow. That's the grace of God for you. You're 19 years old. You just quit. Just quit. For my mother, it was a different story. It was very difficult for her to quit. But she had to take a train, an Amtrak train, down to Florida, and she saw her father in the hospital dying from the complications of emphysema. And she said, I have to quit smoking, but it was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my entire life. And my mother wasn't a person prone to exaggeration. So when she said something, she meant it. She said that was the hardest thing she ever had to do. Wow, what do you think you need to give up? What's going on with all this pot smoking? I mean, my husband tells me, like, he's in traffic and there's people smoking pot in the car behind him, and it's like heavy, thick. What about secondhand smoke? What? We don't care about that anymore? After I quit smoking, sometimes I actually enjoyed the secondhand smoke because it's like, oh, I'm breathing in the nicotine fumes. I just love it. I don't want to smoke, but thanks for sharing your fumes. It actually didn't entice me to smoke. It's just like, yeah, I just remember when I could light up a cigarette and I would feel instantly relaxed. I know it's like wrong for me to even tell people this. But honestly, why is it that THC makes some people crazy and paranoid, and it makes other people calm? It's very idiosyncratic, isn't it? Just like alcohol. Alcohol could make some people calm and jolly, and other people just go nutso and start arguments and things like that, and they get in trouble. That's just the people. You don't want to be around those angry drunks. So yeah, of course, I mean, Mom, I know you don't mind my sharing, because if it would help people, then it's okay to share. Because, there's no judgment here. This is a judgment-free zone. This is just a sharing zone. However, because I'm the only one talking, nobody can interrupt me. Believe me, I've invited people, years ago. I want to have like a radio show. Well, nobody's. But most of the time when you turn on TCT, right, that's the Total Christian Television Network, it's just one person talking. It's not like a bunch of people interjecting things. Because that person has something to say. They have a message to deliver. Most of the time, I'm like soaking it in. Is it Joseph Prince? Is it Charles Stanley? Occasionally I listen to Creflo Dollar. But, I'm just, he's not vibing with me right now. Like, you have to be not sin conscious, but innocence conscious, and then you'll be good. It's a little too esoteric for me. Joseph Prince has a ministry of grace as well. Why does Joseph Prince vibe with me better than Creflo Dollar does? I always thought I was part Asian. Maybe that's why. Do you respect Singapore? I respect Singapore. What if you went there? Would it be like the soup Nazi line on Seinfeld? Like, may I please have a piece of bread? In Singapore, they're very strict, and there was a huge thing back in the 1980s. I still remember it. Joseph Prince is just a little bit older than I, so he must remember. I can't remember the person's name, but there was an American lady with a white son. She's white, the son is white. It's nothing to do with racism. But she married a Singaporean native, or Singaporean, I'm not sure if I said that correctly. And the kid gets mixed up with some hoodlums. And they vandalize some cars, and then they get caught. Vandal is from Sanskrit, I believe. That hooligan could be Irish. What about hoodlum? We're talking about etymology of words. Very interesting. Shenanigans. They were up to some shenanigans, so that's Irish. Well, basically his punishment was to be caned. And what they did, they took like a big bamboo rod and they just spanked him on the buttocks. And she was trying to pull out all the legal stops. Oh, my son can't be caned. He could get permanent spinal damage. That could be true. At this point, I'm thinking, if it could do permanent damage to somebody, I guess there must be a better way. But there was this huge uproar, like, oh, is he going to be caned? And then eventually they did cane him. So I guess he survived, right? But, didn't Dostoevsky write the book Crime and Punishment? Yes, he did. Did I read it? No, I mean, it's very long-winded. These Russian novels are just really extremely long. These people really love to talk. Give me Gone with the Wind. Give me Jane Eyre. But please don't give me Crime and Punishment. Please. Or, I don't know. Maybe you have to be a guy to like that kind of stuff. I don't know. But, I did digress. My mother had difficulty. My mother was not an angry, mean drinker. I don't want to say drunk, because that's pejorative. She would just be silly, and she'd actually be really friendly when she was drinking. Like, Mom, you're so disgusting. I don't want to talk to you. You're such an alcoholic, As a teenager, I'd think that. And I was just so cruel. But I was kind of taking my cues from my dad, because many times he would talk about how Mom drinks too much. Well, did you ever think that maybe you're the reason why she's drinking too much, Dad? Because you're mean and she can't stand it. She can't stand your mental cruelty. You know? All right then. I love both of my parents. I do hope to see them in heaven along with my brother. I have not Googled my name in like years. Oh my Lord, have mercy. Because, I have not done that. No. There's like a very pretty Jewish lady that has the same name as me, but it's my married name. But I'm not her. She's like a fitness instructor, and I'm not a fitness instructor, so please don't get us too confused. If I had a friend that I could talk to, somebody I could trust, wouldn't that be wonderful? What's the deal with the person giving you a friend request on puzzly words? It's like, and then they want to invite you to a friend game. I'm not able to do it because I just don't think I can trust people. I think the way you make friends these days is, if you're a coworker, like if you work with somebody, then they get to know you, your true character. When you're under pressure, then they get to know who you really are. They see you day to day, how you treat others, what you say, what you eat, what you drink, where you go, how fat or thin you are, how young or old you are. That's how you get to know people. You see, being a housewife I don't have that privilege. I have tried to work part-time. I have 3 degrees, by the way. And they were not handing them out like decals in a Cracker Jack box. I had to earn these degrees. I'm not saying I'm a nuclear scientist, but I did have to work very hard for these degrees. They mean something, yet I have applied for jobs after I obtained my MBA. I won't say earned because God did it for me. How did I graduate? Not being very good. I got a C+ in an accounting class. It's very embarrassing. They should definitely have more math classes for the MBA. Because how can you be Master of Business Administration if you can't do math? But I passed my 2 math classes. Statistics, that's not so bad. You have to write papers. I can write papers. It takes a long time to write good papers. But you write good papers. You get A's in most of your classes. You graduate with an MBA. You go to it's an online degree long before COVID from a Christian university. So I applied to all these places, even the local community college, and they're like, well, they wouldn't hire me to do anything. I got like a part-time job being a tutor for kids that thought that I was stupid. I'm like, well, I can't really help you with math, but, I can help you with French. Is anybody taking German? Nobody's taking German. Yeah, even a girl, it's like, well, I did pretty well on my ACT. I got like a 31 on the verbal or something. There were 2 separate verbal sort of scores having to do with words. I got a 30 and a 31, but I try to give this girl advice how to write an essay. Maybe she thinks I'm stupid. Maybe her teacher said, you got some bad advice from that white chick. Oh, no. I was good. I got A's in school. I was spot on. I really was. You don't believe me? Everybody just thinks you're a stupid hillbilly. A well-meaning, stupid hillbilly. I guess so. Somebody asked me, like, are you a Mormon? Because you've had so many kids. Like, well, it used to be back in the day, people would ask you, if you've had so many kids, are you a Catholic? But now they ask you, are you a Mormon? No, birth control is making me sick. I was getting headaches and chest pains from the birth control, and I felt sick 3 weeks out of every month. And so I went off the birth control. And then I had lots of kids, And I was married to the same man. It's the same father for every child. Every single child has the same father. I was married the entire time. Our society thinks that is so weird. That is just so weird. She's been married for, 3 decades? And she has 9 children. Like, I should have 30 children. Like, if I've been married for 3 decades, I could have had 25 children. Look back in our history. Some of these people that we revere as statesmen, founding fathers, they came from families of he was one of 18 children. I could have had so many more children. What? You think? And yet people are just, I'm having a child. I don't know who the daddy be. I don't. I ain't got married to daddy. Why should I get married? Why should you get married? Why should you? Because you're committing adultery if you're not married. What? Well, you can't say that. That's very offensive. No, I know somebody from an upper middle class household. If she ever married the baby daddy, I don't know. Had all the privilege in the world. Had lots of babies. Didn't think she should get married. What is going on with our culture? But to make a long story short, I don't know. When I would come home from school as a latchkey kid.
Well, what's a latchkey kid? Oh, I'll tell you, Josie. A latchkey kid is a little girl who comes home to an empty house, and she has to have a key to unlock her front door. And she comes home to an empty house. She has to take the dogs out to poop and pee. She has to feed the cats. And then she opens up a can of Chef Boyardee.
And she plops herself down on the couch and turns on the television. What's on? It's usually MASH. Da, 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 with Gary Burkhoff, Radar O'Reilly. Oh, that's an Irish name, but Burkhoff doesn't sound Irish, but anyway. Radar could always know when the helicopters were approaching. It's basically an emergency hospital. Supposedly in Korea, but many people thought it's more evocative of the Vietnam War, but the Vietnam War was taboo. So supposedly this all took place in Korea. And Hawkeye, the wisecracking surgeon, was always drinking. When he was off his shift, he always had a martini in his hand and a robe on, like a silky robe on. I wish Clay Travis and Buck Sexton could really just go back in time a little bit, or had an older sister and older brother to tell them the way it used to be, because these people sometimes they just get it wrong. Well, we're just young and dumb. It's like you need older people to tell you the way it really was. Like a sibling who's 5 years older might be able to tell you a lot, rather than you trying to get all your information from Wikipedia and your peers who know as little as you do, I suppose. But, Hawkeye had a psychiatrist. It's like, oh, yeah, of course it's a Jewish psychiatrist. I don't know if his name was Feldman. I don't know. See, I don't remember. I haven't watched an episode of MASH in years. Mobile Ambulatory Surgical Hospital. MASH. There you go.
You still got it.
Oh, thank you. I do. But then there was this show after MASH, and then Hawkeye went crazy. It's like it's not fun anymore if Hawkeye's really crazy. When it stops being fun, maybe we need to hang up our overalls and go off our shift. You've done enough. That show MASH. Frank Burns, Hot Lips, played by Loretta Switz, and then they made her a sympathetic character. Originally it was a movie, MASH, and when I was in the 7th grade, in The Gifted and Talented, no, honey, you were in the 5th grade, that's right. Thank you, older sister, that doesn't exist. I was in the 5th grade. MASH was so popular when I was in the 5th grade. I was like 8 years old or something, because we would see it in reruns, but it was also running on prime time. We asked our music teacher, our music instructor, because I was in the choir, we really want to sing the theme song from MASH. And she said, no, the lyrics are really depressing. Can I give you a few of the lyrics? She said, I don't think that's good for kids to sing. There's a reason why on the TV show, it's music. There's no lyrics. Suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and I can take or leave them if I please. Little kids are not supposed to be singing a song like that. So we had another thing, a lineup of old commercials. Commercials. They're melodies we love to sing. Commercials. They go so well with everything. Commercials. They stay with us the whole day through. Let us sing some commercials for you. Come on, come on, come on, and have a Pepsi day. That's you want your children singing happy songs. I wish I were an Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I truly like to be. As if I were an Oscar Mayer wiener, everyone would be in love with me, Remember Don Ho? If you remember Don Ho, then you're my generation. This Clay Travis and Buck Sexton duo doesn't remember Don Ho, but I remember him. Listen to the slightly older people. Cultivate friendships with them. If you send me an invitation in the mail, or you send it by Federal Express, that I will attend. But please don't try to contact me with Facebook Messenger. I'm sorry, I'm a little creeped out by the whole online thing. Send me an invitation. Have a butler come and deliver an invitation. Or just call me. Just call me and, let your name appear. Don't say you're from someplace in Ohio. I didn't even know it existed. It's like, don't spam me. Have your name show up. Well, this is actually Clay Travis. I am calling you because I want to talk to you. It's very off the record. I'm trusting you not to record me. Of course. But the thing is, now I gave you all the frosting. Are you ready to eat the cake? This idea of gambling, the comment that you made the other day, Mr. I'm sorry, it is Clay Travis that usually, he's the one who really annoys me. Talking about, well, there's nothing wrong with being a drunken frat boy. No, please. What are you talking about? That was really a terrible thing. When my mother, she wanted to be a nurse, you see. And the nurses were so mean. She was training to be a nurse, I believe, under the tutelage of Catholic nuns. And they were really mean, but what really was the straw that broke the camel's back? Her grandfather died. And the mean nun, the head nun of the nursing school said, no, you're not allowed to attend your grandfather's funeral. So she just quit. She quit, and then she went into teaching. But unfortunately, the Greeks don't want no freaks. A sorority or a fraternity. My dad was never in a fraternity because he got his college degree in night school, so he was an adult student, to get his bachelor's degree at Cleveland State University. But my mother had gone to a different university it was not a state. Well, it was a state, but we're not going to say which university it was. And we're not even going to name the sorority. But they encouraged her to be, let me put it frankly, if you can handle it, drunk and promiscuous. She finally felt accepted because she had not been accepted in high school because she was tall. Like I said, my mother was just good at sports, good at math, good at English, good at typing, good at everything. But people didn't respect her because she was different. She wasn't this little petite, little blonde person, like Doris Day. I don't want to pick on Doris Day. My mother was just absolutely remarkable in every way. She wasn't an ugly person, but they made her feel ugly because she had glasses. She said, men don't make passes at girls who wear glasses. And so she got contacts, hard contacts. I had gaseous permeable contacts. I tried those. I was like, those things hurt like heck. My mother wore hard contacts just to avoid having to wear those glasses. Goodness gracious. Yeah, she was very myopic, as am I. I'm so thankful I have my soft contacts. I don't even think about them most of the time. So blessed. Wow. I want to tell you, that's why I take it so seriously, Clay Travis, that you talk about, there's nothing wrong with being a drunken frat boy. What if you impregnated a girl and then she had an abortion? You didn't even remember that you had an encounter. Well, I guess, yeah, I think you just need to stop shooting off your mouth as much as you are. But don't worry, I got upset at Glenn Beck, so I stopped listening to him for a while, too. Yeah, I mean, this is me. Stop shooting off your mouth. Have a woman on there. I would say that to Glenn Beck and Clay Travis. Have a woman. At least Sean Hannity has a woman. He interrupts her a lot. The producer, whatever her name is. I wouldn't put up with that. He interrupts her. That is so rude. But at least he has a woman on. Deborah, is that her name? What? I mean, why would you be scared that, well, my wife would be jealous? Why don't you have your wife call in and talk? Well, because my wife isn't correct about things. And I only want correct people talking. Now I'm using the Newman voice, right? How am I using the Newman voice? I don't think that you're going to be... It's all about gambling and football. But I have to say, Buck Sexton, that man is my cup of tea. I tell you, I don't want to marry him. He's a lot younger than I am. Every time he talks, I'm like, yes, thumbs up for you. That doesn't mean that you need to kick Clay off the show. You're a dynamic duo, but you need to have women, need to have female voices. I think you're being a bit misogynist. And if your wives are mad at me for saying this, well, I guess you chose very carefully which females you would marry, because you knew that they would never, ever, ever, ever give you back talk, ever, 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 ever try to tell you anything. Because as soon as they did, what would you call 911? Oh, well, yeah, okay. But the truth is going to come out sooner or later. Let the women speak. Let the women have a voice. Well, I'm afraid women will take control. I don't want to have control. No, you do. You want to just control everything. I won't be able to have fun. I won't be able to watch football. Oh, no, I mean, you need a counterbalancing force. Okay. Well, you really do. And, I heard a Catholic priest on TCT the other day talking about the Holy Spirit as a man or a woman. Is the Holy Spirit a feminine force? Well, probably. I mean, it's gender neutral, I think, when it's mentioned in the Bible. I'm not saying you need to call me. I'm not saying I'm even really doing the right thing. I'm not saying that I'm not a little bit inconsistent. I'm the one that would complain, well, the pastor's wife got on stage and she started talking, blah, blah. Well, why don't you just go bake some cookies and cupcakes, honey, If you want to have something to say, why don't you tell your husband to say it, then he'll say it. Why do we need to listen to you? I'm the typical woman. I agree, I am. I'm not against. females preaching, but in the house of God, if the guy's the pastor, why is his wife going up on stage and preaching? I didn't pay for her, I'm not paying the tithes to hear her preach. Why can't she host a cupcake workshop? Oh, you sound really catty and mean right now. You've hurt my feelings. Oh, or a home decorating workshop. Well, it's not enough for me, you see. I really want to be popular and... Okay, well. And you notice that every female in the congregation kind of looks just like her. It's like, well, we just have the same sort of like a deadpan, unemotional, really kind of robotic demeanor, Ooh. But I'm supposed to be robotic, and I'm just supposed to just like, I don't know how to be a robot. I never learned how to be a robot. But here I am criticizing people. I have no right to criticize anybody. But I'm just saying, the last time I got up on stage and tried to talk in front of the whole church, I felt like an unseen hand was choking my throat. I was so frightened. And keep this in mind, I did play Annie Sullivan, another Irish, and The Miracle Worker. And I had to memorize a lot of dialogue. I flubbed so much because it was so difficult for me to memorize the dialogue. I flubbed, I dropped lines, You would like, give you a C+. I was so afraid, and yet I felt when I stepped on that stage, somehow the Holy Spirit or Jesus was enveloping me with a lack of fear. It's almost as if the people weren't there. I'm not saying I had an Academy Award winning performance. I wasn't drinking at the time. I would only drink occasionally, like every weekend with a friend, It never even occurred to me, well, just take a shot of vodka and then you'll be fine. I didn't really get... I did win the Gerald B. Rice Theater Prize at Ohio State Mansfield. I mean, I might be on the plaque. I don't know. I haven't been there in decades. I don't know. I had friends that wanted me to win that prize. It really suited my character to be the miracle worker. And I had this beautiful young girl who was playing little Helen Keller, and she was just such a nice, sweet little girl. I never know if I'm going to see her again, I don't check my messages. You don't check your messages. Well, last time I did check my messages, it was just a bunch of spam, so... If you look up my name, Erica Heisler, don't see all the bad things that I've done. Don't see all my failures. The best is yet to come, yeah? So if I want to leave you with a final word before I have to go to the bathroom, which I really do need to, do the number one. And I have to sit down for that, by the way. So there's no male anatomy on me whatsoever. Never wanted to be a man. Like, how could you ever... Like, people accuse you of the weirdest stuff, don't they?
Well, just because I don't talk like this, I'm not like a perfect little Barbie doll, doesn't mean
I'm very happy being a woman. I know women who have deeper voices than I do.
But I have to really, adopt, a cartoon character voice to be taken seriously as a woman? Really? Do I have to be blonde?
I've tried to be blonde. I've tried. I've just given up being blonde. And then I went to red. That's the thing. I went to red because black is a little too stark. And when one is older, you don't necessarily get away with having black hair. So even when I was in high school, I do have to use the restroom, but this is my PS. Even when I was in high school, I wanted to lighten my hair and it would always turn out red. So I'm like, red is good for me. It doesn't mean I'm alternative lifestyle. Well, I mean, the thing that you said the other day, it was really a month ago, really, I just love red hair. I mean, Rita Hayworth, I admire it so much. Titian was a painter, by the way. The beautiful, I don't have the alabaster skin and the green eyes, but red hair, I'm such a fan of red hair. I really am. And to say that, well, you're really, how do you associate the rainbow with alternative lifestyle? How do you associate red hair with wanting to be living that lifestyle that's against what the Bible says? You really need to get your ducks in a row, mentally speaking. So I do have to use the restroom. I'm not sure what the title will be. Lord help me in Jesus' holy name. Have a beautiful Sunday. Goodbye.